Welcome back, Eco Explorers! This week we've been learning all about how art and science kind of cross paths and work together. So today we are going to get a chance to make something called an observation journal. Have you heard the word observation before? An observation is just something that you notice. You might notice that I'm in the tree climber in Bill's backyard. That's an observation. Or you might notice that I'm wearing a hat. That's an observation. Or maybe if you come home and someone's baking cookies, you might come in and you might notice that it smells like chocolate chips. That's also an observation. Again, an observation is just something that you notice with your senses. Now, both scientists and artists like to use observations. So when we make our observation journal, we are going to be making something that you can use to record what you notice about the natural world. After we make our observation journal, we're going to get a chance to sketch, like a scientist and an artist, a flower in Bill's backyard. To make your observation journal, you are going to need a hole puncher, and colored pencils if you want to decorate it, some string, and some paper, and I almost forgot some scissors to cut this string. To start, I'm actually going to use this blue piece of construction paper as kind of the outside cover of my observation journal. I'm actually recycling a piece of paper, but I liked the color, so I'm going to use it. And I'm going to use some white paper for the inside because that's easier to sketch on. But remember, we're trying to use whatever we have at home. So whatever you can find for your observation journal is going to be fine. For right now, I'm just lining up all the pieces of paper, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to fold them in half to make my observation journal. And I'm trying to keep it so that the paper's straight, no edges are sticking out. Just do the best you can. Once it's lined up like that, you can begin to fold it. Voila, like a book. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my hole punchers and I'm going to try to hole punch through all the sheets of paper. I have about 5. Might be a little bit harder. You can hear the smack sound, but I did it. There's a hole. And I'm going to do this, you can do this 2 or 3 times. I think I'm going to do it 3 times. Again, one in the middle. I'm going to go up at the top here. And if it's hard to punch holes through all of the pieces of paper, you can actually ask an adult to help you with this. Now we're going to bring in our string, and we are going to unravel it just a little bit, because what our string is going to do is our string is going to tie all of these pieces of paper together, so it's actually a journal and doesn't come apart. I'm going to say to use about that much. Really just as much as you need to tie everything together. Then I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to start looping the string through the hole punches I made. I'm going to go through the second one, pull it through, and I'm actually going to double back so that it looks pretty, but on the back as well. So I'm going to keep pulling it. And I am going to send it back this way again, pull it through, back this way, coming from underneath, and then I'm going to use the rest of the string to tie it. So I'll have a nice bow in the front, and all my pages will be held together. And you can actually shrink the bow if you like. If you don't want it to be big, you can double knot it so it doesn't come untied. And last but not least, I have a little bit of extra string, so I'm actually going to cut it. And there's your created observation journal. And this is your observation journal, so you can decorate it any way you want. I'm going to start by writing Caitlin's observation journal on the front. So And you can add anything you want to decorate it. I think I'm going to add some string and a little spiral to mine. And then I'm going to tape it down because this journal is not going to be just like a journal that you write in. This journal is going to be for all pieces of nature. So if you find interesting leaves, you can tape them in here. You can glue things if they're flat. You can decorate the front of your journal some more. And you know what? I'm going to finish decorating the front of my observation journal, and then we can compare notes. Alright, Eco Explorers, here's kind of what my finished observation journal looks like. I turned the little squiggle into a snail, and I taped some mint flower to it because I thought it looked pretty, and I happened to be by the mint bed. Now today we're going to talk about how you can sketch like a scientist. And that's because a lot of times when scientists are outside looking at things, if they want to capture what something looks like really quickly, a lot of times the fastest way to do something like that is to sketch it. Sketching it is actually pretty cool because it helps you see things you might not have noticed before because you're focusing so closely on what you're sketching. So, for instance, some drawings that you see are very simple. So, like, you know that's a flower, but does it really look like a flower? Does it look like the flower on the front of my book? No. So I made this drawing off of ideas I had in my head of what a flower looked like, but I wasn't looking carefully at a flower. So now, instead of going off of what I think a flower looks like in my head, I am going to try to sketch like a scientist and use my observations to make a better drawing of a different kind of flower. So for my scientific sketch, I thought I would draw an artichoke, specifically this artichoke growing in Bill's backyard. Now, did you know that artichokes are also flowers? So I'm going to be using my scientific and artistic observations to try to capture what this artichoke looks like. Sketch of the artichoke next to the actual artichoke. And as you can see, it's not perfect, but while I was sketching the artichoke, I got to learn some pretty cool things about it. I got to learn that each individual petal of the artichoke flower has little spikes. I got to learn different things about color variation in the artichoke, how there's purple and green, and how the spikes are kind of yellowish. And I really just got to focus in on the artichoke and tried to capture scientific observations in an artistic way. Or maybe I tried to capture artistic observations in a scientific way. Again, observation journals are a really great way to learn about the world around you. Like, for instance, when I was trying to sketch our artichoke flower, I had to really pay attention to what colors it was, what shape it was, what features or characteristics it has that I wanted to capture in my drawing. And both scientists and artists use these skills of close observation in their work. And when you're paying such close attention to something, you can't help but notice and learn new things about it. Thanks again for watching, Eco Explorers. I can't wait to see you next week. Bye!
Thank you for watching our virtual Purple Museums broadcast. If you're enjoying this content, please consider making a donation to support our efforts. Our summer broadcasts are every Wednesday and Friday on Facebook and YouTube. Stay in the loop by joining our email list. Visit www.cdm.org and sign up today.